Growing up with a narcissistic mother can feel like living in a house of mirrors, where your reality is constantly distorted. What should be a safe and nurturing environment often becomes a battlefield of emotional manipulation and control. Narcissistic mothers, while frequently appearing as loving and caring, can create a toxic environment for their children. Their behavior can be confusing, hurtful, and long-lasting. Let's explore what this looks like and how it impacts our lives. What is a narcissistic mother? Narcissism in a parental context involves a mother who is excessively preoccupied with herself, lacks empathy, and seeks to control and manipulate her children for her own benefit. How does narcissistic parenting affect children? Children raised by narcissistic mothers experience a range of emotional and psychological challenges. These can include low self-esteem. Narcissistic mothers often barrage their children with criticism, negativity, and a lack of validation. This constant barrage can erode a child's sense of self-worth and leave them feeling like they're never good enough. Insecurity and anxiety. The unpredictable and manipulative behavior of a narcissistic mother can create an insecure and anxious attachment style in children. They may constantly walk on eggshells, fearing their mother's outbursts or disapproval. Confusion and self-doubt. Narcissistic mothers often gaslight their children, denying or twisting events to make them question their own reality. This can be incredibly confusing for a child and lead to self-doubt. Depression and mood disorders. The emotional turmoil of living with a narcissistic mother can take a toll on a child's mental health. They may be more susceptible to depression, anxiety, and other mood disorders. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD. In some cases, the chronic abuse and manipulation of a narcissistic mother can meet the criteria for CPTSD. The effects of narcissistic parenting can extend far into a child's adulthood. Here are some of the long-term consequences. Difficulties in relationships. Children of narcissistic mothers may struggle to form healthy and trusting relationships. They may have a skewed sense of intimacy or become overly critical of themselves and others. Codependency. In an attempt to gain their mother's approval, children of narcissists may develop codependent behaviors, prioritizing the needs of others above their own. Perfectionism. The relentless criticism of a narcissistic mother can lead to perfectionism in their children. They may have an intense fear of failure and strive for unattainable standards. People-pleasing. Children of narcissists may become people-pleasers, constantly seeking validation from others. The emotional pain of narcissistic abuse can lead to self-destructive behaviors such as substance abuse, eating disorders, or self-harm. What role does shame play in narcissistic relationships? Shame is a powerful tool used by narcissistic mothers to control their children. They may constantly criticize, belittle, or humiliate their children, making them feel inherently flawed or unlovable. This shame can be incredibly debilitating and lead to social withdrawal, isolation, and a reluctance to seek help. Narcissistic mothers employ a range of manipulative tactics to control their children and maintain their power. Here's a closer look at some of these tactics. Denial and gaslighting. Narcissistic mothers may deny or twist events to make their children question their own reality. Triangulation. They may pit siblings against each other or create conflict between the child and other family members. Favoritism and scapegoating. They may play favorites with their children, creating a dynamic of division and competition. Silent treatment. They may use the silent treatment to punish their children or control their behavior. Emotional blackmail. They may threaten to withdraw their love or affection if the child doesn't do what they want. Guilt tripping. They may make their children feel guilty for their needs or desires. Here is a real-life example to illustrate the impact of a narcissistic mother. Emily grew up with a narcissistic mother who was constantly critical and belittling. Emily was never good enough, no matter how hard she tried. Her mother would often compare her to other children, highlighting Emily's perceived shortcomings. As a result, Emily developed low self-esteem and struggled with social anxiety. In her adult life, Emily found it difficult to maintain healthy relationships. She was always worried about being judged or criticized. She also tended to attract partners who were critical or emotionally unavailable, mirroring her relationship with her mother. Through therapy, Emily began to understand the impact of her upbringing. She learned to challenge her negative self-beliefs and develop healthier coping mechanisms. We as a team would appreciate it if you support us by subscribing and liking the video. Narcissistic mothers excel at crafting a public image of the perfect parent. However, behind closed doors, a different reality unfolds. Their actions, cloaked in the guise of love and protection, are often calculated to maintain control and boost their own ego. Children of narcissistic mothers frequently find themselves walking on eggshells, constantly striving to meet unattainable expectations. A narcissistic mother often disregards her child's personal boundaries, treating them as an extension of herself rather than an individual. This overstepping can manifest in various forms, from controlling their appearance and friendships to making life-altering decisions without their consent. The child's sense of self becomes increasingly blurred as their autonomy is systematically eroded. Narcissistic mothers frequently play favorites, creating a toxic dynamic within the family. One child is elevated to the status of the golden child, while others are relegated to the role of the scapegoat. This divisive strategy not only fosters resentment and jealousy, but also prevents the development of healthy sibling bonds. A narcissistic mother often undermines her child's achievements, subtly or overtly. Their successes are either ignored, downplayed, or claimed as the mother's own. This constant belittling creates a self-doubt cycle that hinders the child's personal and professional growth. Gaslighting is a cruel tactic employed by narcissistic mothers to confuse and control their children. By denying or distorting the child's experiences, they erode their sense of reality. This manipulation leaves the child questioning their own sanity and perception, making them increasingly dependent on the mother for validation. Constant criticism is a hallmark of narcissistic parenting. Children are subjected to a barrage of negative comments that chip away at their self-esteem. These criticisms are often veiled as constructive feedback, making it difficult for the child to recognize the abuse. A narcissistic mother may view her children as competitors rather than cherished offspring. This toxic dynamic can manifest in various ways, from sabotaging the child's relationships to outright jealousy of their successes. Narcissistic mothers are insatiable in their pursuit of attention. They often create dramatic situations or crises to divert focus onto themselves. The child's needs and feelings are consistently overshadowed by the mother's demands. A narcissistic mother may derive pleasure from witnessing their child's emotional distress. This cruel behavior, often termed emotional vampirism, leaves the child feeling confused, manipulated, and emotionally drained. The narcissistic mother's world revolves around herself. Her needs, desires, and opinions take precedence over everyone else's. This self-centeredness creates a toxic environment where the child's emotional and psychological well-being is consistently compromised. Narcissistic mothers often blur the lines between parent and child, placing unreasonable responsibilities on their children. This exploitation, both emotional and financial, can have long-lasting consequences. To avoid accountability, narcissistic mothers frequently project their own flaws onto their children. This manipulative tactic creates confusion and self-doubt in the child, making them believe they are the problem. A narcissistic mother often sows discord among family members, turning siblings against each other. This destructive behavior isolates the child and prevents them from forming a solid support system. When confronted with the consequences of their actions, narcissistic mothers may resort to self-pity and victimhood. This manipulative tactic, often referred to as playing the victim, deflects blame and maintains their position of power. Many viewers might have experienced similar situations. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Your experiences and insights can help others feel less alone. The impact of narcissistic parenting is profound and far-reaching. It leaves deep emotional scars that can hinder personal growth and relationships. With support, resilience, and self-compassion, it is possible to overcome the challenges of the past and create a fulfilling future. Thank you for watching. If you or someone you know is dealing with the effects of narcissistic parenting, remember that help and support are available. Healing is a journey, and you don't have to walk it alone. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video to support us. Our next video will be on sex with the narcissist, a highly requested topic. Stay tuned.